Hey YouTube, this is Jade Storm coming to you from Team Shadow Strike, and this is going to be something that I'm going to do a couple of videos on. For those of you who are asking, people are asking me what if I'm going to continue to do my clan discussion videos. I am. I'm going to be doing the next two with two people at my locals this weekend, so those will be up for you then. But another series of videos that I'm going to do is my top 10 Pokemon from each generation. I'm doing this to just kind of build up for the Ruby and Sapphire remakes. Now, if you have not checked out my the first of my monthly giveaways, that will now be a thing. The one for August is still going on. You can still be in it. All you have to do is go check out the video. It's called August Monthly Giveaway. It has the Leo the Lion picture next to it because that is the month of my birthday, and that's my zodiac sign, and that's I decided to start them on the month of my birthday. And the winner of the August monthly giveaway will be announced when I do my September monthly giveaway announcement, and the winner of the August will be announced in that as well. Now, another thing I will mention and will remind you is for my December monthly giveaway, I will be giving away a Ruby or Sapphire 3DS game to one of you. It will be just like all my giveaways. I will ask you a question, I will give you a statement, or I will do something, and all you'll have to do is leave a comment. And if you leave a comment and you're subscribed to the channel, you are entered in the contest, and then I will pick the winning comment and they will receive the prize. And I'm going to do that every month. That is something it gives me a way to give back to you guys and all the good feedback that you give me. So that is my treat to you. And I'm really looking forward especially to December because I can't wait to give away a Ruby or Sapphire game to one of you. So anyway, obviously, since I'm going to be doing the my top 10 Pokemon from every generation, today I'm going to be bringing you my top 10 Pokemon from Gen 1. So, from the very beginning of Pokemon, from number 1 all the way to 151. So, here we go. My top 10 Pokemon from Gen 1. So, here we go. In the comment section below, you please, if you would like to, tell me your top 10 from Gen 1. I'm going to be doing this for all of the gens of all the gens, so you are more than welcome to leave your list below. I always read your comments, or tell me what you think of my list, or do you see some of your favorites? If you don't see one of your favorites, feel free to tell me which one I left out, and you know, I always love hearing your feedback, guys. Okay, so starting off at number 10, my number 10 favorite Pokemon from Gen 1 would have to be Blastoise. Blastoise was so cool. He started out as this little turtle, and then he grew into a bigger turtle with a fluffy tail. I never understood that. And then the tail disappeared, and he just grew into this behemoth of a turtle, and he had these two cannons that just appeared out of his back, and he could shoot water at ridiculously high speeds. There's this thing called Death Battle. If you haven't checked them out before, go check them out. They have a Death Battle, whereas if Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise were to fight to the death, who would win? So you can go check that out. But anywho, Blastoise was so cool with the cannons and being the big turtle that he is. You know, most people, when they talk about their favorite Gen 1 starter, they generally they go after Charizard, and I can understand why, but I liked Blastoise as well. You know, I mean, I thought Blastoise was really, really cool. Not as I guess versatile as Charizard, but he definitely had his merits. So my number 10 is Blastoise, and I need to mention something before I continue, guys. I completely forgot. In these gens, I will not be mentioning any Pokemon that is considered a legendary Pokemon. They will get their own video for my top 10 legendaries, because I think since there's over 50 legendary Pokemon that they deserve their own video, and I will be giving you that. Also, I am giving you my top 10 list. It is based on their usability in today's game and my general likeness of them. So that's what I'm basing my list off. And do not expect legendaries on any of these lists. Okay, number 9, Arcanine. I really like wolves. Wolves are my favorite animal, and as a little kid, I just loved dogs. I loved wolves, I loved coyotes, I loved anything that was classified as a canine. And Arcanine, Growlithe, these two they were just awesome. I remember the first time I played through yellow, blue, or red. I think I got blue first, if I'm remembering correctly. I already had my team pretty well trained when I got to Cinnabar Island, which is where you caught Growlithe in that ruined building. But when I ran into Growlithe for the first time, like I said, I don't remember if it was red or blue or yellow. I don't remember which one I got first. But when I ran into Growlithe for the first playthrough of any Pokemon game I ever played, I actually sat there and grinded that Growlithe to match one of the Pokemon in my party, so it could be a part of my 7th, 8th gym battles and the Elite Four. I was going to have this Pokemon on my team. I spent weeks grinding getting it up there, because at that point I think my Pokemon were all in the high 50s or low 60s, and I spent a long time getting that Growlithe to match them by just running around in that abandoned building, I don't remember what it was called, and grinding him up, and then evolving him with a Firestone into Arcanine. I was not going to beat the game for the first time without Arcanine. He is just so cool, and his usability today is insane. He is still one of the most versatile fire Pokemon there is, and is definitely one of the best fire Pokemon there is, period. So, my number 9, Arcanine. Number 8, Eevee. Now, you might be asking me, well, why is it Eevee? Because there's over 8 different versions of Eevee. Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon, obviously, were the ones that were introduced to us in Gen 1. But then we came into Espeon, and Umbreon, and Leafeon, and Glaceon, and Sylveon. So I think it's fair to say that I would put Eevee as one of my top 10 favorites in Gen 1, just because of the... I mean, if you were going to make a list of the top 10 Pokemon that are just known as the cornerstones of Pokemon, Eevee would be one of them. You couldn't say that it's Jolteon. You couldn't say that it's Flareon or Sylveon or even Glaceon or Umbreon. You'd have to say it's Eevee. Because when you have an Eevee, you have so mmany options you can do with it. I understand that if you train your Pokemon specifically for nature and IVs like I do, you're going to want a certain nature for a certain evolution, as they're called, but just having an Eevee, you have so many possibilities that are open to you of what you can do with it. So I think it's fair to say that if you were going to do a top 10 list of Gen 1 Pokemon, you have to put Eevee on there before you put Flareon, Jolteon, or Vaporeon. So my number 8 goes to Eevee. Number 7, Charizard. And you're probably thinking, whoa, wait, I thought Jaden Charizard would be in the top 3, but it's number 7. Now, guys, as far as the 3 Gen 1 starters, I think Charizard is the most versatile of the 3, especially now since he has 2 Mega Forms, Charizard X and Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. You can, and they both have their distinct differences. Charizard X, you're going to be more of a physical attacker, and Charizard Y, you're going to use him on a sunny day team, or you're going to use him as a special sweeper. But Charizard overall, he was one of the most versatile Pokemon of the first gen. But I honestly think also Charizard is a little overrated. I mean, Charmander was the one that I started with, I think, the most. I mean, I started at one point all these games with all 3 of them at one point or another. Like, I think pretty much everyone probably did. If you were looking for a Pokemon to be like the head of your team and the best Pokemon on your team, Charizard out of the 3 is definitely the best option. Blastoise could be that option. I personally never used Bulbasaur all the way to Venusaur to be the main Pokemon on my team, or the best one. I used him as a supporter, things to throw out there, poison, put to sleep, and just mainly use against his weaknesses, but that's about it. But Charizard is... I could not make a top 10 list without putting Charizard on this list, guys. And I almost put Eevee above him, but I just couldn't do it, But I do give Charizard the number 7 spot. He definitely deserves to be in almost everybody's top 10 list of the first gen Pokemon, because I think it's fair to say that this Pokemon has probably been used by almost every player that has ever played Pokemon. Number 6, Dragonite. This was the first major dragon Pokemon that we came into contact with. It was such a pain in the ass to raise because you have to catch it as a Dratini or Dragonair, and Dratini evolves at level 30, I believe, and then Dragonair evolves at level 55, and Dragon Pokemon, as some of you may know, are the hardest to raise. They grow so slow. But when you get them to that, excuse me guys, that final stage, it is worth it. I raised just recently a 6 IV Adamant Nature Dratini Shiny, and it took, there were times where he'd be 4 or 5 levels behind everybody, but the second he hit Dragonite, all of that hard work paid off, because having a perfect Dragonite is nothing to sneeze at. We all remember Dragonite from first gen when we fight Lance, the 4th trainer in the Elite Four, before you fight your rival. Dragonite, being Lance's ace. We probably all remember facing this thing, and it being a little bit of a struggle for us to take out unless you had an ice attack or you could just simply overpower it. My main thing was whenever I had Blastoise or Gyarados, I normally taught it Ice Beam. That was just so to get rid of this Dragonite. Dragons in the first gen weren't as... there wasn't a whole lot of dragon Pokemon for Gen 1, as there are now. But dragons are some of the most powerful Pokemon that there are, period. So, most people nowadays, they carry an answer to dragon Pokemon because it's fair to say most trainers run at least one. So, Dragonite, definitely one of my top 10s and very fun to raise. Fun to raise, but also a bit of a pain, but definitely worth it and the time. Number 5 is Gyarados. I think I speak for everybody when we say the first time we saw Magikarp, our reaction was, what the fuck? A little red fish, and all he knows is tackle and splash, and he doesn't do much, and he looks ugly, and he's stupid, and all he does is flop around, and he has that stupid Magikarp, Magikarp sound, and he's just annoying, and he was such a pain in the butt to get up those levels. But then when you're playing and you are getting ready to enter Mountain Moon, I think it is, was when you meet this guy, you buy a Magikarp off him for $500, this being a reference to the Saint Anne episode in the anime when James buys the Magikarp from that guy on the Saint Anne. I remember buying that Magikarp my first playthrough, and, I didn't have the guidebook, so I didn't know when Pokemon evolved. So I tried using this Magikarp, and what I eventually ended up having to do was literally throw him out as my first Pokemon, and then pull him back and throw something else out there. And then when he hit level 20, and I saw what he became, and he became this blue Leviathan, it was like, holy shit. Gyarados is one of the most badass Pokemon from Gen 1. Just his look and his design is just absolutely amazing. I love Gyarados, and I love the Mega Gyarados that we got from X and Y. So Gyarados is definitely earns his spot as the first entry into the top 5 of this part of the list. But Gyarados, by far, is probably my favorite water Pokemon from Gen 1. Number 4, Ninetales. Ninetales is one of my most favorite, if not definitely my favorite. Well, I don't know. Definitely one of my favorite fire Pokemon. It definitely in the top 3. But the one thing Ninetales is by far, I think it is the most beautiful Pokemon. Everyone can have their opinion there, but I think Ninetales is just absolutely gorgeous with her white fur and those 9 tails, and I just think that her design is absolutely perfect. And the fact that she is so deadly when raised right. You know, she's another one of these Pokemon that you saw for the first time in the games on Cinnabar Island, and it took some time to raise it, but she was worth raising. And nowadays you can get her a lot easier with friend safaris and trade overs and breeding and things like that, and you can raise it when you start the game, so it's easier to get her up and grind her up those levels. But, you know, Vulpix, you know, I enjoy the hell out of raising the Ninetales that I'm using currently on my team. It is definitely one of the best Pokemon I've ever raised. So if you have never raised Ninetales before and done it for competitive reasons, like with perfect IVs or key IVs being maxed out and a perfect nature, I definitely would recommend it. I think I actually have an extra 6 IV shiny Vulpix with the ability Drought and Modest Nature, so if that interests you, let me know. And if I do still have that, that is for trade, because I won't need it. So anyway, Ninetales is my number 4. Coming in at number 3 is one of the most powerful, and in some people's mind, the most powerful Pokemon out of Gen 1, and that is Alakazam. Now, Alakazam, until Dark Pokemon was introduced, he didn't have a weakness. There was no attack that you could throw at this thing that would damage it effectively, super effectively. There was no way to do it. And Alakazam, he was one of the first Pokemon that we saw that evolved through trading. You know, you had to catch an Abra, you had to level Abra up to level 16, when then he would learn Confusion, and then you could level your Kadabra up as much as you wanted, and then you could trade him to a friend that you trusted, and then that friend could trade it back to you, or if you were fortunate enough, you could borrow your friend's game and had your own trade cord. I mean, people nowadays who are playing the Pokemon games, they will never know the hassle of having to buy that long purple cord that you had to plug into your Game Boy and have to use to trade, and it took forever to do. You know, now you can trade Pokemon in as little as 15 seconds, but back then it took time. You had to go to the Pokemon Center, you had to talk to Nurse Joy and run through all that text, and you had to hook your stupid cable up, and it had to be in there securely, and if it came loose, there was problems. I mean, it was a big hassle, not like nowadays when you can just line up your transceivers, I think they're called, and be able to trade wirelessly. That wasn't a thing back during my time. Back in my day, we didn't have internet to trade Pokemon through. We had to carry around a big purple wire. God, I sound so old. But Alakazam, guys, he was one of the strongest Pokemon at that time. He was just stupid, and the fact that he had got a Mega Evolution surprised the hell out of me, but I was very happy that he did too. My number 2, and this is also one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon, is Gengar. Gengar, guys, I remember when I very first saw him on the show. You know, because when you see him in just the game and you don't see how they want to portray him, you know, you're really not sure how to take it. You just got to kind of take it by its look. And when the only Gengar that you see in the game is used by Elite Four trainer Agatha. And they make Gengar look pretty evil, and he is, but in the anime, he is hilarious, you know, and just, I love how his voice sounds. Like, I remember seeing him as a little kid, and I just loved him. I mean, there were people who loved Haunter more, but I'm like, I like Gengar. He's just cool. He's like this big, fat, purple body with these cool-looking ears, and he's funny. I mean, sure, he just wants to have a good time, you know, but I loved Gengar. I raised, back during the red, blue, and yellow days, I raised Haunters and Kadabras just to have access to both Alakazam and Gengar, 2 of the first few Pokemon that did evolve through trade, others being Machoke, and I believe there was one other. But, you know, those were my big 2 that were a pain to train, to evolve, because I did not have 2 Game Boys until I also got a Game Boy Advanced and was able to trade between them. But, you know, Gengar, guys, Gengar's badass. I mean, and his Mega Evolution is even awesomer, especially if your Gengar is shiny. And then for my favorite Pokemon from Gen 1 is Raichu. Now, for a lot of people, this spot is probably going to be saved for Pikachu, Charizard, things like that. But for me, it's Raichu. I was never the biggest Pikachu fan. I mean, I liked Pikachu. I think it was hard not to like Pikachu because they made him on the anime be very funny. And that helped, you know, and it also helped that he was the main protagonist, Ash Ketchum's main Pokemon. So, you know, Pikachu obviously was going to get a lot of publicity since he was being used as one of the main Pokemon. And to this day, he is one of the most recognizable Pokemon in the world. There are people who don't even know what Pokemon is, but they know what Pikachu is. That's how much publicity that Pikachu has. And I remember when I for the first time saw Raichu with Lieutenant Surge when Ash battled him in the anime, I was like, Raichu's awesome with that long tail and that orange coloring and that orange yellow, and he had gray on him somewhere or other colors, but he just looked awesome. And I was just like, I want a Raichu. So every time I played Yellow, I was raising my Pikachu, and then when I got to Celadon City, I evolved him when he had learned every move that I wanted him to know. I evolved my Pikachu. Now, if you've never done that before on Yellow, when you actually do that, when you actually click Thunderstone, Use, and you click on Pikachu, when you click on it and Pikachu's picture comes up, he actually goes, Pika! Like, how could you? But it's like, sorry, Pikachu, I want Raichu. You know, I like Raichu for many, many years was my favorite Pokemon until Pokemon Gold and Silver came out. You know, and even at that point, I think he was still my favorite. My favorite Pokemon didn't really change until many gens down the road, but Raichu is by far still in my top 3, and he'll always hold a special place in my heart, just simply because I remember every time I played through Yellow, or even times when I would go catch a Pikachu in Viridian Forest in Blue or Red to level up and use, every Pikachu I ever had became a Raichu, just because of just how cool I thought he looked, and he to this day is one of the best electric Pokemon there is. But anyway, guys, that is my top 10 list of Pokemon from Gen 1. So I hope you enjoyed it. So in the comment section below, tell me, what did you think of my list? Did you see some of your favorite Pokemon on this list? Did you not? I'm pretty sure I should have at least hit one. You know, if I didn't, I apologize. In the comment section below, also feel free to tell me what your top 10 favorite Pokemon is from Gen 1. Is there a Pokemon that I left off that you thought that should be on here? You know, but I just want to hear your feedback, guys. So in the comment section below, feel free to leave me any and all that you would like to. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Go check out my August monthly giveaway, and we can start the countdown to the December month giveaway, where I will be giving away a copy of Ruby and Sapphire. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up this video, and I will see you later.